Hello, I am Christina. I am an author and a blogger, and I am a fan of The Walking Dead. But seriously, who isn't? It's a better question, right? This video is going to be a little bit all over the place. It's going to seem like it is, but I promise you there is a method to my madness. So if you just stick with me, you will see where I'm going with this. I've always loved to write. For me, that was a way of pouring out the visualizations into words so everybody else can come into my mind. Welcome. But that's always been, it started as a hobby. I used to write poems. I used to write short stories. And then the short stories I would want to start adding on to. So it was always a dream of mine to do that. So here I am, world. I love horror. I love fantasy. I love cult classics. Those are my favorite. I mean, anything that's horror. I've even watched some, things that have the worst graphics that you would think, oh, this is, and effects. It's just, oh my gosh. Yes, I've watched it all. It seems like it. But that's where I draw some of my inspiration from. I've written fantasy and I've written horror. And like the book that I just had put out is Day Beyond the Dead. It's going to be a series because I'm having too much fun with these characters and the way they are evolving and the journeys they're going on to actually stop it at one book. A lot of my inspiration obviously has come from cult classics, anything and everything that has to do with zombies, the undead, is I could watch forever. Like, I think Walking Dead should be a year-round show. I'm sure I'm not alone in that. I'm sure a lot of people think that it should be too. Let me just, before I go any further, I have to make this comment about Fear the Walking Dead. Only two shows have been out so far. The first one, I have to say, was slow. For me, I was waiting. I'm like, please pick up. This is just, I'm not, I'm trying to keep it. I think The Walking Dead has pampered me because watching that one, it was just like, geez, when's the stuff going to happen? But I kind of get that in the beginning, it's not going to be so fast paced because it's all unraveling slowly. So I got that. Second show, yay. It was so much better, so much more action. It was getting that gradual Walking Dead feel to it. But what's up with the 2 weeks? You have to wait 2 weeks for the next one. I don't understand that one, but I'm sure there's a reasoning in there somewhere. And October 11th, people. October 11th, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Walking Dead will return to AMC. Oh, yeah. Okay, anyhow. Back to where I was going. See, I told you I'd be all over the place, but watch. There's a method. There's a method. A lot lately. Well, not like just lately, but for a while, there has been a lot of issues in the media, and it seems like a lot of racial issues, and it seems like that's getting slung around a lot in a very menial way. I mean, I don't agree with the hair stuff. When it gets that small, when you're doing your hair and you can't even wear your hair a certain way without somebody calling you out for it, that's a little ridiculous because there used to be a time when anybody could do their hair a certain way, and you wouldn't see anything in the media about it. I hope those times come back, at least in that aspect, because I don't think we should be nitpicking because there's bigger issues here. While there's a lot of stuff that doesn't have any validity, I'm going to talk about things, a certain aspect that does have validity. I was writing my story, A Day Beyond the Dead, and not giving it much thought about any racial issues, because I know a lot of people say, well, I don't see color. Well, there's some people who actually don't. I grew up, and the way that I grew around a lot of different type of people. So that was a norm for me. Everybody has their own different norm. For me, that was my norm. So when I was writing my book, I had it written a certain way, and then it came to me as I was, in the beginnings of writing it, that a lot of main characters, when you look back in Hollywood, a lot of main characters, there are not, actually, I can't even think of one right now, that there was a black male and a white female, and they were love interest, and they were main characters, and you saw not just the little casual, I'm gonna hold your hand, you actually saw them kiss passionately, or they had a makeout scene. I can't really, and I've racked my brain around this, can't really recall seeing that. But you've seen the opposite. You've seen the white male and the black female, and you've seen that. But I would like it to become more of a norm, as I'm sure many others would like it to become more of a norm, where there is a strong black male with his love interest who's a white female, and they do have love scenes. You see that love and you see that deep passion. In my book, the two main characters are Damien and Krista. They are married, and they have a child, and her name's Bree. And they do have some heavy scenes. I will just go ahead and say that right now. And in the series, that will continue probably to be, tapered out through there. I wasn't very, how should I put this? In that book, the love that they share is very evident. They are not just sporadic scenes. Constantly throughout that, you see that love. It's perpetuated in their physicality, in their words, in their actions. And it's a strong cohesion. It's a strong unit. And I think that's something that you don't really see. You don't. I remember when that Cheerios commercial had came out, and it was just Cheerios commercial, and it was a big to-do about it. I personally saw it, and I didn't think anything of it until I seen it on, I can't remember what TV show it was, but they were doing a thing about it, about people making, it might have been the Today Show for all I know. I don't really watch a whole lot of shows like that. And they were saying, adults had issues with that. Some adults did. And they did this interview with kids, and kids didn't. Wouldn't it be great if everybody thought like a kid in that aspect? Didn't think anything of it. It was a norm, and it should be. I think Hollywood has come a long way, but I still think it has a long way to go when you're talking about that kind of lead role characters and relationships. It was interesting to me when I had looked and done a little bit of research about scripts that have, big movies that were written one way or had people cast a certain way, but they changed it up because they thought, what would mainstream America want? So they catered to that. I can tell you this, if I'm ever lucky enough to have my story made into a movie, it's not going to be changed into nothing else. It's going to stay the exact same way. That's something I would never fold on, because I think it's ludicrous to do something like that, and I think it should become more of a norm. They should start doing stuff like that, more movies like that. I want to see a strong black male lead, and his love interest is this white female, and they have this connection. You don't just see them little hand holding and pecks. You see that. The way they kiss, their actions. You see it in everything. That's what I want to see. That should be out there. If everything, if a lot of other things have been out there, I think that should be out there too. So Hollywood, get your butts in gear, because you need to be doing that. Then you need to not take forever to do it. But that was why I had went ahead and went further with my story. You're going to have people who are going to say, if you're starting out, if you're doing certain things, you should do them a certain way, cater to mainstream America. Well, I don't write to cater to anybody but myself. I think when you truly write, you write about what you want. That is your passion. Why would you cater to somebody else? I mean, I understand if you're trying to make a lot of sales, but I don't want to sell myself out as well. I think if you want to make changes and you want to be true to yourself, and you happen to make a change in the process, great. But I'm not going to change anything in my stories. And I'll tell you a little bit about the story. Krista and Damien are childhood sweethearts ever since like the 6th grade. They've been friends before that, but that's when they actually started seeing each other or dating. So it started as a childhood love, and it's kind of always been this deep love ever since. They had about, even sometimes the strongest love, you get sidestepped by stupid pride or things going awry. You let life just get in the way and you act just stupidly. It's happened several times. That is life. But they had gotten divorced, and this brought them back together again. They had never been out of each other's hearts. You could be away from somebody but always still love them, and that's exactly what happened. This had brought them back together again, and things between them were even stronger. I'm not going to say too much because it's going to lead on and tell you a little too much. I don't want to tell you the whole story, but they go through their own journey. They end up eventually at a military base. Whether this base is a good thing or a bad thing, and what ensues there, that's up for grabs. Nobody really knows. But I can tell you one thing. I had a blast writing this. It was very fun to write. I look forward, and I'm already starting on the second one. It was so much fun to write. And it's so hard, in a way. I love writing, but I have so many ideas. It's like if I could just write 1,000 words in an instant, because it's how much I have going on, that would be superb. But that was a fun story to write. And second one, I'm sure will be just as fun. But really, what I really want to get across is I hope Hollywood steps up, because this is stuff that really should be out there. It should be the norm. And I really hope that it is sooner than later, obviously, because that scale is tipped and obviously not in the direction that it needs to be. It needs to be balanced all the way out. And I really hope they step up to the plate and make serious changes, because that should be the norm. And I'm voting for it to be the norm. And if I have anything to do with it, it will be the norm. Well, thank you for listening to my rant. All over the place here and there, I know, but I told you there was a method to my madness. I will be posting another video because, as I told you, I do love The Walking Dead. So I'm going to give my little synopsis on it and, my review. And obviously everybody has their own favorite character and their own opinions on it. So it'll be interesting to see what comments that gets, because I love hearing people's ideas and thoughts, and especially on things that I put out there. So thank you.